second speaker, which is Eng Sheng. And again, I also know Eng Sheng, and I think from as he recounts his journey, you can probably also guess where I met Eng Sheng. Is when he was working in the various corporate firms itself. So Eng Sheng was a senior HR practitioner with regional management experience in numerous MNCs, comprising of several years based out of Shanghai and Beijing in China. And as a trusted and respected leader who believes in providing opportunities for growth to staff at all levels, he had been invited as keynote speaker, panelist for numerous career fairs and HR seminars, including the Future Leaders Summit by NTUC, CEO Masterclass by SNEF, and HR Summit. He has also served as a co-chairperson of the Eurocham Internship Committee and is an adjunct tutor for career foundations in NTU. And after 20 years of serving the corporate HR function, he's decided to switch career and go into full-time financial advisory to continue his purpose. And I bring Eng Sheng here not to help him increase his sales. So please, I need to have a disclaimer here. All right, I know him personally and I've tracked his journey as well. And I've been trying to get him on, and it's really fortunate that he finally found time. Woohoo! We are able to coincide our calendars. So the rest of the story, I'll leave him to tell you more about it. And so today he's going to share with us how you can transition into the gig economy so that you can improve your odds. All right. One of the best ways that we can learn is learning from other people's mistakes. Of course, we wouldn't want that to be our mistakes, but mistakes are only mistakes if we never learn anything from it. So I'm going to stop share and then pass the floor to Eng Sheng. Eng Sheng, are you ready?
I'm here.
Cool.
Quick minute to start my slides.
Yep.
Are you able to see the slides?
Beautiful.
All right, good. So thank you, Aline, for NWSG for inviting me for this session. It's really a pleasure for me, to be here to share on my transition into the gig economy with all of you. So I probably would just start by stating that this sharing is really done on the personal capacity. So it only represents my own view and opinion, does not represent any views of any of the organizations mentioned in the slides and of the organizers, right? All right, so yeah, Boon Xiong did a great job. I mean, he spoke about so many things that I would say personally I share in terms of thoughts. And yeah, I might quote him later as I go through, because I think there were quite a number of points that he really had very similar thoughts that I have. All right, so just moving, right? So just do a very simple introduction with a few pictures. So 5 simple pictures. So the first is actually this. So I'm a born and bred Singaporean, and after graduating from NTU, I went to China at the beginning on a 2 months internship program, which later turned out to be full years of full-time employment in China, be it Shanghai and then later Beijing. So this was one of the pictures that I had when I was representing one of my employment then, Schneider Electric, when I visited a Hope School in Liaoning, Inner Mongolia. Yeah, so that was something that I would say it's very much of my life in terms of my early careers. The second is this picture, very personal. Not sure if you have seen this anywhere on some movies, but this was real life to me. My wife, this is actually the home of my wife and my in-laws. So my wife comes from the village near Huhot, Inner Mongolia. So and my parents-in-law are still living in this place where I kind of got married into this extended family, and we do go back to the village now and then to visit the family. This is the family. I'm married with 2 kids. My son is Sec 2, my daughter is primary 5. This shows you what we kind of do. This was taken during COVID last year. We are very much into music as a family. So my son does the violin since he was 4. My daughter did the flute since he was like 6, 7. And myself, I do keyboard, music, guitars and stuff. So yeah, that's what we do together when we were locked down in the house. This last one is really something which I started last year. Since we went into a COVID situation, I started cycling, increased distance, and this is that ongoing passion, right? To combine exercise with exploring the island. So I do round island cycling almost every week, about 100 kilometers, as long as the weather permits when I start. So if it starts raining in the midst of the whole thing, then too bad, I'll just finish cycling. Right, that's me as a person. So let's move on, just to share with you a bit about my background in, in terms of my career. So having graduated from NTU, I actually started off on an internship with Capital Land, which then became a 3 years full-time role. In the midst of that, I was in Tsinghua University to do an EMBA, just to experience life as a student in China after working and staying there. Schneider Electric was actually the other employment that I had when I was in China. Yeah, when I moved back to Singapore, I was fortunate to be employed by Gemalto. I said fortunate in the sense that it was kind of a restart or reset button to my whole career, because before that, if you realized, I had already spent 5 years of my time in China, and coming back to Singapore, I basically was starting from scratch, right? A lot of employers who interviewed me at a stage of time felt that, well, you had no Singapore experience, so why are you looking for a job here, right? So I was with Gemalto for 10 years. I was really grateful to the organization that grew me a lot. And out of the 10 years, I spent 3 years in China, again, as a full expat. Like what, Boon Xiong mentioned just now, yep, it was a high life. I had my nice service apartment, things were paid for. You come home on business trips. Yeah, so that was good, corporate life. During that period of time, I also served in Eurocham, Singapore, because Gemalto was a French organization. Now it's part of Thales. And I served in Eurocham as a co-chairperson for the internship committee, because I really believed in helping groom, people through internships and across countries as well, which you realize I personally gained quite a lot from during my early stage of career. After 10 years in Gemalto, I wanted to look around. I thought 10 years is really good as part of my track record in an organization. I thought I wanted to move on. That's when I joined Dyson and later on at V, both really short stays to be frank. And from the beginning of this year, I basically am doing financial advisory with this agency called Advisors Click. We represent GE Financial Advisors. So of course, this is just to help you kind of understand the background and the angle from where I'm coming from. I put a map of Southeast of Asia Pacific here because that was really most of what I was doing, either Asia Pacific or ASEAN or China, right? So some happy pictures maybe just to share with you as well quickly on, yeah, the happy times I had during my corporate life, in my 20 years of corporate life. All right. So, well, when Eileen talked to me about, we were talking earlier this year, and she was saying that it was quite astonishing that after 20 years in a corporate life as a HR, and being of some level of seniority, that I decided to kind of start from scratch, to basically be a freelance in that sense, or rather to an extent to really work as part of this gig economy, right? So to just put some context into the whole thing, and this is a definition, that I found, which I thought was quite suitable, where the gig economy is based on the flexible, temporary or freelance jobs, often involving connecting with clients or customers through online platforms. And the gig economy can benefit workers, businesses, and consumers by making work more adaptable to the needs of the moment and demand for flexible lifestyles. So to be frank, in my 20 years of work in the region and in many different kind of organizations and corporates, my observation is that there is starting and there's more and more of this trend that companies are going into short-term or when it comes to the headcounts, right? So they are very comfortable now to take contract workers to fill in gaps. So this gap could be like a 6 to 24 months contract to fill gaps to execute specific projects. So this could be like outsourcing of a function like finance or HR. It could be to fill gaps to execute specific projects such as a merger and acquisition kind of a project. And it could also be even, reviewing document templates within the organization, going through all the employment contracts, for example, for the organization or work processes, right? Or yeah, even stand in for maternity in that sense. Then it could also be there to deliver once-off deliverables, what we would usually get consultants or freelancers, things like designing posters, merger and acquisition projects, retrenchment exercises, or even to fulfill, certain audit requirements or, audit findings, to rectify audit findings. So Eileen here basically was also doing something along those lines, right, in terms of filling the gaps for, training and development for organizations. So this is what I see as a HR practitioner that we are heading towards to. And because the market is also there for more and more freelancers to be there, it's also not difficult to see that corporates and companies are getting more and more stingy over their full-time headcounts. And I see that trend that, headcounts will be used like any other resources, right? Human resources, right? To buy when you need, and to sell, to change, or even to dispose when you become too expensive or obsolete. So that's where I think was a bit of that. I always tell people there's a bit of that midlife crisis in that sense, but I started having a lot of thoughts about this 15 years into my career. And so about 5 years back, I just go to this slide. So in about 5 years back, I started to do a lot of thinking. You have been in the same kind of function for 15 years. You have done quite a number of exposures and things. So what's next, right? So that's when I started to, and to be frank, when you're like at that point of age where 35, 40, I think a lot of people starts to get into this question of, well, companies are restructuring and I'm starting to approach that big 40, 45, 50-year-old kind of mark. And so that question keeps coming to me, right? In the sense that, am I safe? What if something happens? What's my backup plan? Do I just look for another HR job? Do I just keep doing that again and again and again? And how much more do I have to look forward to in terms of HR, having been, I've led teams, I have been a HR director for the region. So I kept asking myself, what other things am I looking for? What are the things that, am I really fulfilled with another 25 more years of HR practice? Yeah, so that's when I started to see that, well, maybe I should keep more open mind. I should start looking around. I should start thinking a bit deeper into how I should work on in terms of my career. So as much as people keep thinking that companies are stable, I started to feel that it's actually the most unstable situation. Having my fair share, right, in HR planning and executing restructuring work. So as I see this, I started to think about, so what do I look forward to if I change or do something else, right, on my own or whatsoever. And I come up with like 3 criteria that I would like to have, right? So the first is really, I want to be able to choose my fate. But I don't want to be on a name list where people can just tick me off and tell me that, okay, this is a restructuring exercise in Sheng. Thank you very much. Yeah, the door is there, it's time, right? So I want to be able to choose my fate. I want to ensure that if I choose to work, if I choose to do something that I want to do, I can continue doing that. The second was really, I mean, the practical part of it is there, and Xiong talk about it a little, right? He put it across that there's a timeline, to entrepreneurship or to doing something. I would say that, yeah, that's a criteria by itself, right? That I want to be able to get a kind of an income to, if not sustain, hopefully even to improve my lifestyle if possible, right? And so to be frank, in my HR role, there were already headhunters who told me that, oh, you're kind of at the ceiling, and it's quite scary when you're 40 years old and people tell you that, in our language, you hendak kaki already, right? You can just continue on this salary forever, because that's easily another 27 years of my life or 30 years of my life. So I was wondering, is that going to get me really excited about doing what I've been doing, right? And the third one is I want to ensure that I don't lose that base, that interest of mine, that I love to interact with people, I love to help people, I want to grow and groom a team, at a certain point of time. So with that, I kind of shortlisted, right? I went through a lot of thoughts, I started talking to people, and then I kind of shortlisted that two industries kind of got into me. And I thought, yeah, these are probably things that I can start working on a bit deeper into, right? So the first one was education. What's new as a HR, going into consulting, going into training, education, that seems to be relatively a smooth kind of transition. So so I started, looking around, asking around, getting connected in the education arena, and I chanced upon an opportunity to teach part-time in NTU during a networking session. And I am teaching a career-related, course or module to undergraduates in the Nanyang Business School. So this, of course, gave me a hands-on experience on teaching, marking, grading, and just to have a feel that, well, is this really my cup of tea, right? In the longer term. So of course, this also brought me context in the education space, where I talked to a lot of people who have done this as a freelance or as adjunct, and try to understand from them how they work on this. The financial advisory industry came because of many different things. And I would say that one of the key reason to be very candid is because my brother at that point of time was in the industry for about 10 years. He was looking forward to being a director, and he was asking me, because I was in HR, right, to consider, well, would you help me in recruitment, in that sense. So after learning more, and to do recruitment is not just, putting on an ad and things. You need to understand things. So I kind of started to understand more and more about his work. And I started to realize that, hey, this is maybe something quite interesting as well, right? It kind of tick off the criteria that I have set up. And that's when I thought, okay, let's embark on a kind of a journey slowly and see how I could move on, right? And so I started on work on certifications. So there are 9 papers, that you need to get, 9 exams to get through. So I was doing that from about year 2018 on. And in fact, about 3 years back in May 2018, I already had my license. All my previous employers knew about it. And I told them that, well, it was kind of a backup plan, right? So it was something that was there. And you realize, I mean, I didn't go into that immediately. In fact, it took me almost 3 years before I took the plunge to do this on a full-time basis, right? So, and I didn't resign or quit my previous job, to be very candid about it as well. In fact, at the end of last year, in fact, I met kind of my greatest fear, right? Where the company was going through restructuring and I was impacted. So of course, at that stage of time, going through restructuring is never exciting and exciting kind of situation. But I look at it and say, well, I mean, I've prepared quite a while for this, and now it's time to take this plunge and move into a new career direction, right? If not now, when? So so this is where it brings me to, and I'll just move this towards a transition before I go too much further into the how. just to show you this slide, right? You know, NASA, and I see quite a bit of a resemblance in that sense, but I just want to take this at this point of time to get Eileen to help in bringing up the poll question. You
I
know,
did.
when you, yeah, thank you. So when you see NASA,
Just launch.
okay, so when you see NASA, right, the question is really to the folks here, what comes to your mind? Is it about, wow, exciting new frontiers, you know? Or is it about, wow, successful and daring? And then is it about, wow, it's unknown, is really risky, is scary, it's uncharted waters? Or the last one, really like, I don't even know why people work there, right? I mean, I don't understand why it exists. So,
So as you're talking, I think the audience has already started to vote, which is great.
yeah, see the
Yay.
numbers come. Yeah, we have about half of the people voting already.
Yep, about half. And I think there
Second,
are slightly over 200 of us here. So let's see any more views. What does, when you first look at NASA, it's what comes to mind. Of course, we all know what NASA means, right?
so there are, yeah, so it's National Aeronautics and Space Administration, is that whole department in US that takes care of their space exploration.
Mm-hmm. And like with any other quizzes that you do, profiling tests that you do, always remember your initial response is most likely your best response. Never overthink things, because this is kind of, I mean, it's also related to one of the questions in menti.com as well, when you're looking to, find out what's next for you. Yeah. So, okay, wait, let's not get distracted. So I think, can I close the poll now? And then maybe
Yeah,
share the results with everyone. Okay,
sure.
so I'm closing the poll and I'm sharing the results. So everybody can see the results here. Eng Sheng.
All right. So yeah, I mean, we have the highest vote at Exciting New Frontiers, you know, which is, yeah, I mean, that's what NASA comes to mind, right? It's about that whole uncharted waters and getting there. We have about a fifth of people each thinking about, wow, it's a successful and daring project and associate, and organization. And of course, you have that part about, wow, it's unknown, it's risky, and sometimes I do imagine, right, when I watch space-related movies, especially, I still remember a few years back there was this movie on Mars. The whole movie was kind of just one person on that island. Um, at points I thought about, oh, this is really, really scary. You know, to think that I'm going to be there for like a year or two before I can get bailed out, and
Right,
then
right.
no humans, no nothing. I'm not sure if I have enough oxygen for tomorrow. I'm not sure if I have food for tomorrow.
That Daniel commented in the chat that movie title is The Martian.
Martian. so that was really scary for me. I mean, I put myself in his and I was like, wow, it's really risky and scary. And anytime when you get short of oxygen, that's when you know I'm dead.
Yeah.
The scary thing I always had is that if I float in space into nowhere, and I know that I will die, but I was probably spend like 7 days floating before I die. I think that's really it's worse
But it's
than
good to see, yeah. It's good to see majority, which is 56% of our crowd here, have voted exciting new frontier. So yay, and then 17% say successful and daring. Of course, there's 20% that says unknown and risky. And I can resonate with those thoughts, Eng Sheng. And also 7% say don't understand why it exists. Okay, I'm gonna stop share there. All right.
yeah, and I'm sure, right? And this is exactly what I think a lot of people around you will tell you, right? When you say that, oh, you know, I'm going to embark on a new career direction. Exactly, people who tell you that, oh, you know, it's quite exciting, you know, wow, you are quite daring and it's nice. Or there will be people who say, oh, I'm sure you will be successful there. And then there will be that other group of people who will tell you, you're crazy. You know, what are you doing? You have so many years of experience in this. You have already chalked up so much experience. You're earning such a decent, nice salary, good experience, so chill, so relaxed. And you know, so you hear all these voices at all times. So that's where I see that parallel in a sense that, and which is why this N.A.S.A thing came to my mind. So yeah, so as much as people give you positive, negative, or weird comments, I think what I wanted to share is to help to give another dimension to this whole thing, um, in the wording of N.A.S.A, right? So as to help you probably think of, in terms of some of the steps that you can do and take in terms of the how that you can start to raise your ability in this gig economy, right? So what I will go through is these four things. The first, network. The second, attitudes. Three, start. And four, adjust. Right? I'll just go quickly into each of them. So the first one is network. I think Boon Xiong also talked quite a bit about this, especially when one of the question was asked to him, right? And this is almost exactly what is related here in terms of relationships are the currency of business, right? You start to realize as you go into entrepreneurship, or you start to go into the gig economy, to get yourself employed, to get yourself a contract is not about just you being there having the best product, right? It's about you have to promote yourself. You have to promote yourself in a tasteful manner. And networking, especially at the early stage when you are thinking about exploring something, is important, because every time you talk to someone, someone will help you build your ideas further. Someone will give you more ideas. Someone will give you that devil's advocate thoughts, the negatives, the positive, and everything. And that's where I think I learn a lot from others when I tell them, for example, to say that I might want to go into a full-time lecturing job, or when I say I wanted to go full-time into financial advisory, all sorts of noises come in, but that helps me think. And the good thing is this, life is very interesting. Successful people love to share and coach new players, right? Successful people love to coach new players. So when I talk to some of these very perceived good guys, be it in teaching or be it in the financial industries, I hear very good things from them. I hear very good tips from them. And that's where I feel that, I learn and I move forward. The part about showing visibility is, of course, when you network, you're also trying to tell people that this is something that I get into. And exactly this, which got me into my part-time teaching in NTU, right? Whereby someone was like, hey, I can refer you to NTU. Yeah, so, it's about showing visibility, which got me my role in NTU. In fact, when somebody say, oh, I could introduce you to someone there. So that's how things happen. So when you show visibility and you tell people this is what I want to do, there are people who will help you along the way. So that's something that I think is extremely important. Don't keep it within yourself. Tell as many people as you can about what you're thinking, even though that plan might be very premature, right? The second thing is about what we talk about, attitudes, right? Attitudes, of course, there are tons of attitudes out there that you need to have. I just want to make it really easy and simple, the 3H here, right? In terms of being happy, to be humble, and be hardworking, right? Happy is, a lot of people think, well, what's happy as part of the attitude, right? And Boon Xiong talked about this as well. And I want to reiterate this, right? People love to work with happy people. People like to work with people of high energy. If I get into a session of meeting and I was like, yeah, okay, I think this is what we can offer, nobody will be excited about it. And you're like, okay, you're not even excited about yourself, or you're just so tired, right? That it starts to, people starts to question your interest in this business or this thing that you're doing. So it's as an entrepreneur, as someone who starts business, I'll say that people like, when you are an entrepreneur, there are chances that there are times when you are really low, you have a lot of challenges, and you're frustrated, right, from a previous meeting. So the thing and the fact is this: even if you have no money in your pocket, nobody will know, right? If you go into a meeting with $2 in your wallet, I think that's the important thing is still to show that, hey, I'm happy. And the fact is this: when you show that you're happy, people at least have faith in you in terms of you liking what you're doing, and you are going to continue doing this for a longer time. Because One of the scariest thing for prospects or clients is that, are you going to be in the business for a while more? How long are you going to be there, right? So that part, to me, I think is really important. Humble is really more about, you could have a lot of experience in your whole life. You could be a director, CEO, CFO, whatsoever. But when you start from new, or you're doing something which is a different angle, or you're in the gig economy. So, and the last thing is really on hardworking, right? It's going to be very, 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 very rough, right? So, and I can tell you, as much as people say, oh, you get more flexibility when you work on yourself, I can tell you I'm working 16 hours a day. I'm looking forward to Mondays, because I can start getting on again. I'm losing most of my Sundays to work just because I know I need to catch up, right?
Yeah.
So that's very important. Next one is really to start. We always think and think and think, and we put things on the planning mode. But I would say that start taking steps towards the plan. Research on the requirements, uncover those choices. There are a lot of things that you might need to get in terms of requirements, in terms of certifications for different kinds of businesses before you can start. For example, for the financial industry, I needed to take quite a number of examinations before I can go into all those products. So those are important to get clear, right? So when I started in January this year, I didn't even have to think about the requirements. I went straight into the business. The part about decide on your path is really, I see two very clear choices, or in-betweens, right? The steep and risky one, which you might go up fast and you could fall fast as well, or you could go for a gentle and safer route, right? Whereby you take a few more years to plan and to go. So that's also a decision that you need to make about how steep do you want that whole thing to go. And of course, the last one to me is about taking steps to fulfill. You have to push yourself, because no one else is going to do it for you. And a lot of pain or thinking is self-inflicted. I think that whole Nike thing is important. Just do it. Thinking causes suffering, right?
Yep.
Totally
agree.
So the last part is really about adjust. Adjust is about, be stubborn about your goals, but be very flexible about your methods. We could have all the things, the perfect plan that we think of, but don't stick on to it if it doesn't make sense. And just to help you, fix this in your mind, I'm just going to play this video, which is about 2 minutes long. So be very stubborn about your goals. And I would say that, we just need to be very flexible as we embark on the route. There are times when you just need to adjust your path accordingly to the terrain. And I think the other important thing is really that don't give yourself too much slack. Sometimes you just have to move forward and know that by moving forward, even though we are afraid to fall, if you fall often enough, you start to get immune.
Indeed.
All right. That's the part. So I think probably we'll just move on to the last.
This is very interesting as well. Yeah. Okay, anybody here? Give me a thumbs up, guys. Emoji, thumbs up, so I know you can hear the sound. Yeah. Okay. Good.
Whoa, that's not good.
Oh, I don't need this. I'm already late.
Somebody will come. Anybody out there?
Do you have a phone?
No. Sorry. Somebody! Hello? There are 2 people stuck on an escalator and we need help. Now, would somebody please do something? I don't believe this. You gotta be kidding me.
I'm gonna cry.
No. Well, there's not enough left to do, is it?
Hello? Hey, don't worry about it. I'll fix it in a second.
He said he can fix it. All right. All right. That's more like it. He says he can fix it.
is this, right? People are expecting when they step on an escalator, it naturally gets them to the next level, right? It's just like when you do something, it naturally ends off well. But the fact is this, sometimes when you get so stuck in the mindset, and when things doesn't go right, you start to think, okay, I'll just wait for help. So the point here in this video is really, maybe we can just go on to the next slide at the same time. I think at the end of the day, you always have a choice to make, right? Like on the escalator, you could move yourself up, right? Rather than wait for someone. Of course, we are looking at it from the outside. It seems very obvious. But at the same time, there are times when it's very obvious that you could move yourself out from a dead end as well in your work or whatever things you're doing. So you can always continue, to act and wait for things to happen. But of course, what I really hope for people who have attended this session is to hopefully learn from any one of the speakers here and really to start taking steps to improve your odds, right, in this gig economy, or to take some inspirations from the speakers and to do something about it, right? Because that listening just stops there, right? So that's about it from me. In fact, the last slide is really just to invite all of you to connect or contact me if you want to learn more about the industry that I'm in now in financial advisory. Or if you have business for me to plan and help you achieve your financial goals, go for it. Scan me, contact me, link me out on LinkedIn. My name on LinkedIn is Eng Sheng, no diff there. So thank you. It's been a pleasure. Thank you, Ali.
Hey, thank you so much. And I do also want to add one more thing. Please reach out to Eng Sheng because he's got a lot of contacts in the HR sphere. So he, a very senior person, when I met him. So, don't just look at the role that he's in right now. Pretty much similar to the analogy that we showed in the video. When sometimes we are standing on the escalator, we don't know it's an escalator. We thought it's an elevator. That's the thing. But when you speak with someone, another person could look at it from outside in and say, you're actually standing on the escalator. Why don't you just go up, So we want to meet people like that. So as you network, we want to encourage all of you, please do that. All right. Hopefully you meet someone to point out certain things of where you are, options that you can consider, which is the purpose of today's seminar. That's what we want to do. Just bring on different people with different journey and all that. Yeah. I think there was one question I thought I should ask you as an HR person. And the question is, how should we decide what alternate career we should go towards from an HR perspective?
Well, I think it's about what criteria you draw for yourself, right? Earlier when Boon Siong talked about his criteria of going into entrepreneurship and things, I would say that they are different from my criteria, and everyone we each have our own criteria. So I think the important thing is that to look into those criteria and then to see what really fits into them. Just now I saw a lot of teachers. We talk about consultants, we talk about bakers, bakers and things like that. So I think a lot of that comes from what you're interested in, what you're keen in, right? So if that's the arena that you feel that you can do and make a career out of, those are good careers for you. So it's really setting up your few criteria and ensuring that you tick off each of them, because if they are not ticked off at some point of time, it means that you will regret it and you will just get away from that decision again because you haven't fulfilled all your needs in that sense. So I think from my end, I think that's what I can share.
Wonderful. Okay, cool. Yep. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Eng Sheng, stay with us.
Sure.
Don't go away. If any one of you is keen on the first time leadership book, you can always buy with this special code AOC he created for all of you who are here joining us on this seminar, and also for those of you who are watching the recording. But if you would like to win a book, what we have done is to support our job seekers, Out of Career has also purchased 5 books. So this is what I did. I purchased 5 books. I'm going to give away 4 of those books, because one book he has autographed it and he addressed it to me, so I'm keeping that. So I've been receiving feedback from listeners who have either participated or watched the recording. So in order to win your book, all you need to do is go watch the speaker's recording, all right? And instead of sending me your comments, because it's not the same when they hear it directly from the audience. So I'm sure speakers like Boon Seong, Daniel, and Eng Sheng would rather hear it from you. And after watching any of the speakers' video, write in meaningful comments. But if it is just a simple word of thanks, I'm sure the speakers will appreciate it as well. It's amazing that I get all this, but if you do have and you appreciate, please write a note to them. It's not to me, it's to them. All right, comment on their video. All you need to do is go watch, take your time to watch, but I will ask Daniel to pick those, whichever, right? The most meaningful comments that he see, reading those feedback from the viewers, because he has walked the journey, so I'm sure he can sense these are true comments or not. So I'll let him pick the winners, and the prizes are all fully sponsored by Art of Korea. All right, so on that, what I'll like to do is, yes, you can subscribe and you would actually stand a chance to win the book, but do join us also, because I'm gonna give Daniel his time, and we're gonna also play this live on YouTube. He's gonna be talking about his book. So Art of Korea have turned 5 this year, and that's what we are doing. We're doing a lot of free events. I'm throwing out a lot of free resources as well. Anything to help you, because you never know. One story is all another job seeker needs to change their life. All right.